Just as Finn opens his mouth to ask about the nets overhead, he freezes, yelps, grabs Robin, and dives. They hit the ground hard, rolling across stone. "What are you doing, Sharkfin Mantis?" Robin shouts. Something massive whooshes past them. Earlier that morning, after Kmart City and the yellow light specials that were too good to refuse, everything still feels sticky. That lingering feeling of being trapped by a deal that's just a little too good. Like staying 5 minutes longer than you should have because the price kept whispering at you. Robin and Finn are tired. Tired of camping. Tired of being around each other nonstop. Tired in that specific way where even silence starts to feel crowded. They're walking when the scanner pings, close to a town. Finally. Except, no, not a town. The label flickers. Town, hotel. Even better, a job log opens. A few easy tasks, low-risk work. One job even lines up perfectly with the path they're already on. For a moment, it feels lucky. Then the details load. They don't have the right tools. Something about a ginger-sniffing drone. Or a sensor attachment. Either way, they don't have it. The job log stays open anyway. Jobs appear, disappear, complete before either of them can load anything. A fog of activity. They're too far out to see full readouts, but close enough to tell something is busy out there. A lot of somethings. They move closer, zooming the display as they walk. The scanner updates again. A location without a population? That can't be right. The classification slows, shifts, then stabilizes. The screen slashes to a new classification, IN. Finn nods at it. Phase 1 construction project, an inn. Robin squints. The project is in what? Not in what, Finn says patiently. An inn. Robin stares at him. That's what I said. No, Finn replies, it isn't. She throws her hands up. Don't start. Silly dot. Robin stops walking. Don't. Don't what? Call me that. Finn blinks. It's literally your name. My name is Robin. Your name is Robin.Salamander. Another identifier pings on cue. Mantis Sharkfin. Robin glares at the display. See, that's different. Finn shakes his head. How? They keep walking, quietly. The full readout resolves. Population 0, 0. But the job list keeps scrolling. Hundreds of tasks cycling in real time. Claimed, in progress, completed. More appearing behind them. They still can't see the fine details, but the pattern is clear. Whatever this place is, it's working, and no one officially lives here. Finn glances back at the display. Oh, this place is going to be interesting. His scanner pulses. He starts to speak. Robin doesn't look at him. What part of we're not talking to each other didn't you get? They reach the cliff's edge, and then they see it. A giant, no, massive oak. One trunk thick enough to feel like terrain. Branches stretching outward in every direction, heavy with acorns far too large to be natural. Some of them look altered. Carved? No, that's not quite right. Modified. Maybe. From this distance it's hard to tell. Nets stretch between the higher walkways, thick cables, reinforcements, as if whatever falls from this tree matters. The scanner flickers again. Population. 0. Robin says it out loud. Population 0. Why didn't you just say it was an inn? I swear, Finn, you tease me just for the fun of it. She doesn't really mean it. She's talking more to the air than to him. She still doesn't understand it. How can something this busy, she asks quietly, have a population of 0? The job board continues updating behind them. At first, they don't see the tree. They only see the top of it. The canopy breaks the skyline like a second horizon. Leaves layered so thick they swallow light in places. From where they're standing, it looks impossible, like something pretending to be distant. They keep walking. When they reach the cliff's edge, the full scope settles into place. Straight down, hundreds of meters. The canyon wraps around an island carved clean through by a river that's been patient longer than anyone remembers. The water circles the land like it made a deal with gravity and never renegotiated. The tree fills most of the island. It had to grow massive before it ever cleared the canyon walls, before it ever saw sky. That explains the timestamps. Finn's scanner updates again. He pauses. I can take a long-term job, he says. Long-term, apparently, means 3 weeks. It comes with a cabin. Not permanent, just assigned. Something to use while the system considers you necessary. The cliffs are webbed with bridges and ropes, a few lifts strung across open air, thick cables, large nets stretched above and between the walkways, sagging gently under their own weight. Finn starts to say something about the netting. Then he freezes. His eyes lift. He points straight up, yelps, grabs Robin, and dives. They hit the ground hard, rolling. "What are you doing, Sharkfin Mantis?" Robin shouts. Something massive tears through the air above them. A giant eggcorn. It slams into one of the nets overhead. The cables flex as it absorbs the weight, the whole structure bowing before springing back. The eggcorn rolls along the mesh, catches on a seam, then slips through a narrow gap. It tumbles into open air, disappears. A long moment later, there's a distant crash far below. "Robin Salamander," Finn says, brushing himself off. "I thought I was saving your life. Did you see the size of that thing?" She did. They don't argue about it. They go inside the tree, straight to a food vendor. All locations are required to offer a 1-credit meal. Basic nutrition. No customization. Enough to keep you functional. After this much travel, though, they want something better. Something warm. Something that doesn't taste like policy. "Got anything good in the 3 to 5 credit range?" Robin asks. "We're straight off the path. Travelers." The vendor barely looks up. "Everyone's a traveler here. No one lives here. The inn is temporary." "What about the restaurant?" Finn asks. "This one's been here a long time," the vendor says. "Long for a place like this that, for all intensive purposes, I've cooked in every quadrant of this tree." Robin tilts her head at that. "Do you own it?" she asks. The vendor laughs softly. "No, I take the job when it shows up on the board. My comments are mostly good, so I get priority whenever I'm available. That's how most positions work here. Merit-based. No deep-seated favoritism." They slide a menu across the counter. "I do have a pretty nice meal. Full plate, 7 credits, 1-star chef, jaw-dropping presentation." 7. Robin and Finn exchange a look, already doing the math. Before they can move along, the vendor tilts their head. Or, they say casually, "You can bet." A wheel. "Spin it," the vendor says. 3 credits per spend. The wheel is clean, well used. Certain slots are labeled clearly. Most promise meals in the 2 to 4 credit range. A few lower, a few higher. One thin slice stands out. 1-star chef meal, significantly narrower than the rest. Finn squints. That slot's optimistic. "Everything here is," the vendor replies. They spin. Finn eats well, Robin doesn't. Not terribly, not dramatically, just differently enough to feel it. By the time the plates are cleared, the mood sours the way weather does, slowly. No lightning, just pressure. A small argument that isn't about food at all. Robin says she'll handle things herself. Stay in an Eggcorn. Work. Find the next job. Work off whatever she owes the tree. Finn doesn't argue. He takes a job tied to the checklist, something flagged for next phase evaluation. The kind of assignment that reads like maintenance but feels like oversight. The kind of thing that, for all intensive purposes, keeps systems happy even when nothing's visibly broken. Above them, the daily notices refresh. A drone drifts past. Bright, polite, announcing the morning's acorn drop schedule. New jobs roll in behind it, cleanly formatted, already waiting for hands. They split their day without ever saying that's what they're doing. Finn gets a cabin at the base of the tree. Assigned. Functional. Close enough to the internal routes that the system would probably call it efficient. He offers Robin the larger side. "Hey," he says lightly, "at least the stay's free. I got a cool job, too." Robin cuts him off. "I think I need some space." She doesn't say it like that, though. She says it casually, like it's logistics, like she's selecting a different option on a menu. She doesn't take the room. Finn jokes that it'll be good for her. "Since we've basically been together since your hatch day," he says. "Most first years go solo at least once." He isn't wrong. Every city has a hatch school, separate, structured, mostly ignored until the day you leave it. Robin and Finn left the same morning. Finn is a year older. He could have gone ahead. He didn't. A traveling assembly speaker once stood on a folding platform and asked, "Who thinks they might make it to New Apple City?" Only 2 hands went up. Robin's, Finn's. Robin pretends she isn't mad. She tells herself she just needs space, that she needs to prove she can do things on her own, that this is normal. Finn nods like it is. "Okay," he says, "I'll be at the Roots. Cabin assignment. If you need anything." Robin barely waves. That's probably the worst part. The yellow light specials still cling to her like dust. Too good to refuse. Too easy to say yes to. Too expensive later. She starts noticing the consequences now. Hard labor assignments tied to bet losses. Don't bet what you can't afford to lose. Easier said than done. People smile through it, act like it's no big deal. The betting is everywhere. You bet for better food. You bet for worse food. You bet on lodging quality. You bet on whether the tool you need will be available when your turn comes up. Even the supply store runs skill games. None of them feel like games. Robin keeps running into Finn by accident. Or maybe not by accident. Once he offers help, not directly. He frames it as a system thing. Package coupons, he says lightly. Mutual assist credits. Anyone who hasn't helped someone once since moving into their current room is required to do so in a meaningful way. He shrugs. Even if that's just liking and subscribing. Robin stares at him. I don't need it. He nods. Old wise take, he says. She rolls her eyes, but she doesn't take the credit. She says she doesn't want help from him. Finn nods. He doesn't push. Robin starts betting too. Not because she wants to, because it's the fastest way to move. She notices things. People touching charms before wins, pausing longer on certain numbers, avoiding eye contact with the wheel on bad days, celebrating small wins like they're jar-dropping. Superstition is everywhere. Before bets, after bets, never during. She tells herself she's just observing, but she still places her credits. At one point, Robin hears clapping. It isn't loud, not triumphant, just enough to ripple through the walkways. People gather near one of the canopy paths. A resident steps out of an acorn carrying a crate. Not large, not dramatic, just heavy enough to mean something. She smiles. I carry forth all I need, the woman says proudly. Everything else belongs to the tree. There's polite clapping. She walks away without looking back. Robin steps closer to the room she left behind. It's carved into the acorn shell like all the others. Inside, knickknacks. Small items. Familiar ones. Robin has seen them before, scattered in other rooms, hanging from walkways, resting on shelves and vendor stalls. That's when it clicks. That's why she didn't take them. Robin catches up with her. Why wouldn't you keep it? She asks. The woman lifts the crate slightly. That's all I can carry, she says easily. I've been here long enough to get nudged out of 11 eggcorns. Can you imagine fitting that much stuff? She smiles, not bitter. Not allowed to have 2. Then she's gone. Robin stands there a moment longer. Eventually she understands. The house always wins. Not in a cruel way, just in a deep-seated way. It would probably be easier to pay the full price from the start. Skip the wheel, skip the almost. But she spins again anyway. Robin sees Finn disappear through a narrow seam in the bark, just a thin vertical split near the roots. He steps sideways. Gone. She assumes it's staff access. She doesn't ask. The problem is, there is no regular price for fully unprocessed eggcorns. Robin hasn't seen one listed, not on the boards, not on the terminals, not anywhere except still hanging from branches high above, swaying gently in the open air. That night, she sleeps in the room carved into the shell of the eggcorn she chose. It's newly hollowed, fresh. When the overseer drone begins explaining mid-sentence that it's better if the shell's dry for 3 nights before first occupancy, Robin cuts it off. I'll take it, she says. Even though there are multiple rooms carved into the same shell, she's the only one staying. The walls feel damp, not unpleasant, just alive. In the morning, she sees the same man again. The one who works near the hollowing drones. She can't help herself. Why aren't fresh eggcorns more popular? She asks. The walls were wet, but it didn't smell bad. He blinks. Oh, they are, he says easily. People are just superstitious. Robin waits. Most folks won't stay in one until after night 3, he continues. Best way to be sure it's not a green dropper. She says nothing. He studies her face. You're not one of the thrill seekers trying to take the hard way down, are you? She stiffens. He laughs lightly. Relax. They don't have to be green to fall early, and they're equipped with suppression and stabilizing fields anyway. He gestures toward the canopy. Last one that dropped? Guy said it was the best view he'd ever had. Didn't even realize what happened until he woke up down at the factory roots. Robin looks up. The branches sway, high, patient, alive. The man chuckles, points down landing, slept through the whole fall like a baby. Robin follows his gaze. The tree is threaded with hollowed tunnels, carved clean and smooth. When the walkways open briefly to fresh air, the nets and cable systems are already there above them, stretched wide, patient. She pretends not to notice him as he passes. As he goes, she overhears something muttered to no one in particular. If you stay too long, you'll hold up the whole system. Or worse, get crushed in a few weeks. Pressure plate landings aren't always that gentle. Robin filters the job board by distance first. Anything that moves her closer to New Apple City rises to the top. Most of them are cycling fast, claimed, completed, rerouted. But one listing has been sitting there longer than the rest. No bids. No partial completions. No pending assists. Just quiet. Delivery: 10 full, unprocessed eggcorns to an island outpost she can barely see on the map, a small landmass in the middle of the Grand Lakes. The route only resolves fully when she opens the listing, as if the system remembers she's logged as a temporary guest under Finn's cabin access. She doesn't think about that. She just smiles. Perfect. How hard could it be to get 10 eggcorns? The claiming process turns out to be betting. Every morning, a list updates, acorns flagged as likely ready. Dark brown shells, full maturity indicators, charts follow, statistics, projections, how long similar eggcorns stayed attached before dropping. Nothing hidden, nothing promised. Everyone with an order places their picks. Robin needs 10, 2 betting windows per day. Day 1. She spreads her points carefully, watches the board update in real time. She does well, too well to ignore. When the cutoff line locks, she's 2 places out. Not unlucky. Just late, 2 people ahead of her, both calm, both unsurprised. The board clears, afternoon bets load. She tries again, closer this time. Still not enough. Day 2. Robin changes nothing. Same logic, same spread, same confidence. This time, when the final acorn drops, she's sure enough to smile before the board finishes updating. Someone behind her lets out a low whistle. Wow, a man nearby says. You almost had it. Almost. The board finalizes. She missed. By 1. The man keeps talking, not unkindly. You went for 10, she nods. Greedy, he says, like it's a technical term. You should have bet 9. Can't win them all anyway. He leans a little closer, lowering his voice like he's offering wisdom. Tree gives you your just desserts eventually. No need to rush it. Robin doesn't respond. The board resets. She stares at the numbers longer than she needs to. The acorns she bet on aren't even the ones she would have received. The ones that fall today won't be handed out for weeks. They're buffered, processed, logged. No shortages, no rush, just rules. Tomorrow's predictions begin loading. You get 20 points per acorn you need. Robin needs 10. That gives her 200 points to work with. There are countless strategies, everything on one cluster, split across many. Bet alone. Bet together. The goal isn't perfection, it's percentage. To have the highest share of your points land on acorns that actually fall, and to stay above the cutoff line. That's the only way you get cleared. Buying one outright is possible, technically. The markup is absurd, high enough to feel like a warning. Anything unprocessed, anything valuable enough to bypass the system, requires something else entirely. Favors, exchanges, agreements that don't show up on boards. Robin thinks she's getting the hang of it. She isn't. She tells herself she'll try again in the morning. The board will refresh. It always does. The lights dim automatically near closing. Robin doesn't argue with it. Tomorrow will load whether she's ready or not. She loses every day. And by lose, she usually does well. Almost well enough. Close enough to feel stupid for missing it. But losing carries penalties. Hard ones. She hadn't realized betting could turn into labor. Not with all the drones around. But drones need maintenance. Food needs oversight. Someone still has to be present. By the 3rd morning, Robin decides to try a different strategy. The board won't let her. Outstanding balance detected. Betting privileges suspended until cleared. She exhales once. Not angry. Just tired. She closes the screen. On her way to the lower walkways, she pauses. A man stands in front of a shop holding a crate. Someone nearby laughs. Told you that shop had to go. Another voice answers, No, you needed the other one. You didn't win anything. The man glances at them, shrugs. Close enough, he says. Then he lifts the crate and disappears into the crowd, leaving the shop unattended. Robin keeps walking. She doesn't want to know what that means. She goes to work instead, and while she's working, she starts noticing things. Patterns, timing. Who hesitates before placing bets? Who doesn't? The only real problem is the food. She is tired of acorn. Acorn flour and bread. Muffins, pancakes, roasted acorns with salt. Brittle, caffeine-free acorn coffee that insists it tastes the same. It doesn't. She spends the morning serving Eggcorn coffee to travelers who request things like extra foam and half roast. One regular insists the flavor profile is deep-seated. Adam, the barista beside her, nods solemnly. Old wise take, he says. You get what the tree gives. Robin doesn't laugh. By midday, She looks out through one of the open cutouts in the bark. Finn is suspended in a harness above the netting, drones orbiting him in polite formation. He's cutting away a row of tension cables. Below him, a small crowd watches. 3 credits says he takes the east net next. No, upper brace. He won't touch the east one yet. Robin looks away before she can see who wins. Tomorrow's work is already loading. She moves down toward the base of the tree. That's where most of the labor collects. Drones wash acorns in rhythmic lines. Some are routed to hollowing, others diverted for flour, others marked for drink processing. Everything moving in parallel, clean, methodical. Above the processing floor, a long ribbon of text scrolls across a beam. It's always been there. Drop projections, clearance rates, labor balancing, debt indexes. Usually it jitters, freezes, skips. Today it doesn't. The ribbon moves smoothly, balanced. Even. A few workers glance up. About time, someone mutters. Mechanic must have fixed the sink. Robin keeps her eyes on her tray. She doesn't look at the ribbon again. But later, when she checks her account, the red debt marker is gone. The interface shifts. New options load, partial clears, storage holds, percentage claims. The board looks different down here. Or maybe she's different. She studies it longer this time. The system hasn't changed. She just finally understands how it breathes. And somewhere above her, someone is tightening bolts she can't see. It takes her most of the afternoon to admit it. She's been betting like a high roller, trying to win everything at once, full risk, full payoff. The higher up the tree you aim, the narrower the slice gets. Of course it's harder. Of course the house breathes that way. She doesn't need all 10 at once. She doesn't even need half. She needs momentum. A third would do. 3 clears change the odds. 3 clears build storage. 3 clears create leverage. She pays down the balance. The board unlocks. No rush this time. She studies the drop projections. Not the biggest cluster, not the prettiest odds, just the stable ones. 3 acorns. She confirms. The board updates. She wins. Not by much, but clean. The next morning, she repeats it. 3 more. No cheering, no grin, just confirmation. Her total climbs. And something else shifts. The delivery route to the island port stabilizes on her screen. No longer theoretical. Island port. Grand Lakes region. She zooms the map. The lake is wider than she thought. If she had waited and tried to grab all 10 at once, she would have had to backtrack across the short edge of the shoreline just to secure a crossing. Instead, the system now flags something else. With incremental delivery comes staggered passage. A small boat can meet her partway. The longer crossing from the island to the far shore only unlocks once the final delivery clears. She doesn't need perfection. She needs sequence. Robin hits confirm on the final partial. She steps back from the board. Then she looks up, really looks up. Through the nets and cables and suspended walkways, she follows the trunk as high as she can see. The branches split into sky. Sunlight filters through the canopy like something earned. The tree doesn't feel like a trap anymore. It feels like a system she finally understands. She exhales. Not relief. Accomplishment.
Robin hits confirm. The board settles, clearance secured, next leg unlocked. For a second, she just stands there. Then she looks up. Really looks. From the factory floor at the roots, the tree doesn't feel like a building. It feels like geography. She's on an island carved by the river on both sides, water slipping past the exposed roots like the hull of a ship cutting current. Above her, the canyon walls rise halfway to the sky, massive stone ribs framing the lower trunk. And then the tree keeps going. Past the canyon lip, past where the light should stop. Hundreds of feet higher, the canopy blooms outward, thousands of branches radiating into open air, each one carrying acorns the size of houses. Fresh green, burnished brown. Some hollowed with spiraling porches and work rigs wrapped around them. Others still whole, waiting. Infrastructure threads up the trunk, bridges, lifts, maintenance rails. Openings carved into the bark lead inside to rooms, corridors, levels stacked like decks on a cruise ship. Self-sustaining, rotational, alive. A city disguised as an inn. She pulls up her tablet and scrolls through drone shots. From above, the full scale is almost abstract. The island roots braided in river mist, the trunk punching through the canyon split, the canopy spreading like a second horizon. Hundreds of eggcorns, hundreds of lives in motion. Population 0. She exhales, not overwhelmed, accomplished. That's when she hears a familiar throat clear behind her. That's when she sees him. Finn, walking toward her like he's approaching a wild animal that might bolt. Hey, hey! He rubs the back of his neck. So, I'm not sure what I said or did exact. You didn't do anything, Robin says. Her voice is softer than it's been in weeks. He blinks. She looks at him properly now. Not over his shoulder, not past him. Let's put everything behind us, she says. On one condition. Finn straightens slightly, already preparing for whatever this is. Tell me everything, she says. The real story. No system speak. What is this job you took? What have you actually been doing to the Eggcorn Inn? He exhales. The knot in his chest loosens a little. You first, he says, because he can't help himself. Was it hard? Winning all 10? Robin almost smiles. I figured it out eventually. The learning curve is backbreaking. Literally. Finn nods. Yeah, the betting analytics, that's one of the only sections I couldn't see at all. Tens of thousands of bets a day. The system protects that part. Robin tilts her head. Oh, so you gained more access to the parts that were, what did you call it? Redacted? He doesn't answer right away, because it isn't something that fits in a sentence. It isn't even a story. How does he tell her that his cool job isn't really a job? That it's more like a permission slip the tree's been waiting to hand to someone? That it doesn't need a hero, just a mechanic willing to initial a very long checklist? It's not power, it's access. Folders. Processes paused politely until someone qualified looks at them. He opens his mouth to start anyway. He's ready to explain what level 3 mechanic actually means. Not fixing broken parts, seeing the parts no one else can see, total access. That's the everything she asked for. He draws a breath. His scanner pulses. Robin closes her eyes for half a second. What part of not talking to each other didn't you get? Finn glances down despite himself. This one doesn't chirp. It pulses. Job flag detected. If Robin didn't want to talk, Finn could only show her. He steps a few paces away and toggles his scanner to public display. No drama, just the log. Job accepted. Full completion window initiated. The board shifts. Level 3 mechanic required. Status pending assignment. Checklist, restricted view. Visible items, 253. Phase 1, day 84,752. Estimated completion window, 3 hours, 12 minutes. Phase 2 authorization, locked. Phase 2 unlock conditions pending. The text scrolls the way systems do when they don't expect applause. Phase 1 objective, establish functional infrastructure. Phase 1 stability, acceptable. Phase 1 personnel model, rotational. Phase 1 residency, non-applicable, non-applicable. Near the bottom, almost casually, Phase 2 projected, permanent quarters. Secondary growth zones, smaller trees seated along cliff edges. Canopy interlinking over canyon span. Future capacity, treetop network. Long-term education node pending. Hatch school eligibility to be evaluated at time of need. Authorization contingent on mechanic availability and checklist completion. It isn't urgent. It isn't demanding. It's simply waiting. The cabin assigned to him sits near the roots. Small, efficient. It includes a maintenance chute, an internal passage woven through the trunk, letting him move through the structure without touching the public walkways. Not private, just practical. Tagged as level 3, he sees more than Robin ever could. Not everything, but more. Folders he can't open, headings without descriptions, processes marked active, unattended. Systems pause politely, waiting for qualified hands. He doesn't mention it yet. The display refreshes. Location bio loaded. The Eggcorn growth cycle appears in clinical detail. 1 month to mature, additional months to harden, drop calibration windows. Genetics, drone shaping, hormone guidance. Structural reinforcement modeling. The structure in front of him isn't just a tree. It's a decision made long ago and left alone. Another pulse. This one doesn't ask, it informs. Making room level 3 mechanic required. That's the title. In practice, it looks like this. Finn helps a vendor move a shop 6 feet to the left. Not because the vendor asked, but because a narrow slit in the wall needs to be cleared for a gear track. The kind of thing that looks decorative until it isn't. The vendor watches patiently while Finn wipes dust from the stone and checks the alignment. Didn't know that was there, the vendor says. Neither did the tree, Finn replies. Not until now. Around them, the inn feels different. Not louder. Alive. Conversations drift between walkways. Travelers stand in loose clusters talking about timing, about options, about where they might go next. No panic, no anger, just awareness. Word has spread. Phase 1 isn't the name of the place, it's a stage. A quiet update scrolls across the public board. Classification update, in designation removed. Townhouse class residency enabled. Population metric now relevant. No announcement, no ceremony, just new wording. A few people blink at the screen. Someone whistles softly. Someone else shrugs. People aren't upset with Finn. If anything, they're amused. A few start betting, lightly, on which stall he'll adjust next. Others begin packing before he ever arrives. Vendors especially. They've stayed in the same spots longer than most. Now they see it for what it is, a reason. The tree isn't pushing them. It's signaling something new is coming. Finn moves along the canopy path, stopping where the system highlights small inefficiencies. A rope line here, a storage nook there. He talks with people as he goes. Temporary shelves fold away, hanging signs come down, personal items are gathered without fuss. Nothing dramatic, nothing forced. Things are simply making room. Now we lightly echo the system without drowning in it. His display continues to scroll in the corner of his vision. Checklist active, partial visibility, phase 2, pre-authorized, not urgent, not immediate, just possible, permanent quarters, secondary growth, canopy bridges, a hatch school someday if needed. The timeline stretches out hundreds of years, flexible, non-urgent, waiting. Finn doesn't feel powerful, he feels available. Nothing about it feels urgent. Nothing about it feels desperate. Finn can't open everything, but he can see enough. Folders waiting, systems aligned, a future outlined without insisting on arrival. Phase 2 doesn't need him, it simply allows him. A new log opens. Over 500 items sit in quiet queue, waiting for level 3 confirmation. It's hard to imagine anyone ever reviewed this much by hand. Options surface, permissions, pathways that weren't visible before. Finn leaves the system on automated. When he confirms, it asks again and again. Would he prefer full administrative authority? The phrasing is ceremonial, almost antique. Pharaoh of the tree. The system politely informs him that if he declines, the next opportunity to change that setting will not occur for another 300 years. Finn doesn't hesitate. There's no appeal in managing day-to-day decisions when the structure already balances fairness and function better than any council ever could. Here, things move. He declines. The display updates. Phase 2 viability approved. Secondary growth authorized. Projected expansion civic class. Timeline long. Urgency none. Not immediate. Just possible. His assignment adjusts. Cabin confirmed. Scope expanded. Access increased, within reason. Another prompt appears. Residency option available. Permanent status pending confirmation. Finn doesn't open it. Instead, he schedules 1 week. Maintenance. Cleanup. Clearing drone corridors. Relocating storage from spaces that were never meant to hold anything long-term. Small things. The system adjusts. Residency status. Temporary. Guest registered Robin. That feels right. He doesn't start phase 2. He doesn't need to. The tree is already ready. He just makes sure nothing important has quietly turned into a forgotten corner. Everything is already ready, which is the problem. It has been waiting, not impatiently, just steadily. So Finn doesn't build anything new. He aligns what exists. Paths clear. Access points cleaned. No quiet corners turning into accidental storage. He walks routes the system highlights, but most of them are already handled. People moved before he arrived. Shelves folded, shops shifted, rooms emptied, nothing forced. Things are simply making room. Phase 2 doesn't begin. It doesn't need to. The tree continues, balanced and on schedule. Finn finishes the last adjustment on his list. He closes the log. When his planned time runs out, nothing asks him to stay. Nothing escalates, nothing insists. His status remains temporary. Robin remains registered as his guest. That feels right. He could stay. He doesn't. The tree doesn't mind. It keeps growing anyway. Finn doesn't log anything. He keeps walking. More spaces that had been cluttered are open now. Clean. Marked as resolved before the system ever flags them. He passes areas he thought would require adjustment and finds nothing waiting for him there. People are ready. By the time his scheduled week ends, Phase 2 hasn't officially begun, but everything is in place. In a couple thousand days, this will be a grove. Trees, housing, shops, and a hatch school grown naturally into the canopy. No announcement required. The tree remains behind, still working, still growing, exactly on schedule. Robin meets Finn near the path out. They leave together. The Eggcorns are bound for a smaller travel post, an island lodge in the middle of a grand lake. Population, 1. At least it's not 0, Finn says. We'll know who's in charge right away. Robin smiles. They deliver in pieces, 3 at a time, then 3 more, then the rest. No heroics, no perfect run. Just understanding the system well enough to stop fighting it. When the order completes, the clearance updates quietly. Not flashy, just different. Access granted. Routing privileges unlocked. A rare kind of permission, not about status, but about movement. Enough to make the next leg possible. Finn glances at her as the final confirmation scrolls away. Okay, Miss Independent. Did you find a way across the Grand Lake? Robin nods. The delivery comes with 2 passages. Across, she adds, or back. Finn exhales, amused. Oh, I thought for sure you were going to miss that. Robin looks out over the water. The island lodge waits in the middle of the Grand Lake. Population 1, for now. Finn nudges one of the sealed Eggcorn crates with his boot. So, he says, angry mobs or blown minds? Robin arches an eyebrow. What? He gestures toward the crate. Pitchforks or Epiphanies. She considers that. Depends who opens it. He nods slowly. Yeah, a beat. Best thing since life's bread, he adds. Robin finally turns to him. That's not the phrase. Close enough. Deep-seated logic, she says dryly. Mute point. She shakes her head. Old wise take. The boat rocks gently against the dock. Behind them, the tree keeps growing. Ahead of them, the lake opens wide. No legacy, just movement. They step forward together.